first thing Elias noticed was that the clocks had stopped. Every clock in Briarwood House, mantle, wall, wristwatch, even the digital one on his phone, was frozen at 2:17 a.m. The house was silent except for the soft, irregular creak of wood settling, like a body breathing in its sleep. Elias told himself it was coincidence. Old houses had electrical problems. Phones glitched. Time felt strange when you were tired. Still, he did not move. Briarwood House stood at the edge of the marsh, a tall, narrow structure leaning slightly toward the water as if listening. Elias had come to catalog it for the Historical Society. One night only, they'd said. Just photographs, notes, and an inventory of what remained inside before the building was condemned. No one had mentioned the clocks. He stepped forward. The floor groaned beneath his weight, louder than it should have been. The sound echoed, then echoed again, once too many times, as if something else had stepped where he had. Elias turned sharply. The hallway behind him was empty. Long, too long. He was certain it hadn't stretched that far before. "Get it together," he muttered. His voice sounded wrong, not quieter. Thinner, as though the house had taken most of it and left him only an outline. He raised his camera and snapped a photo. The flash lit the hallway in stark white. For a split second he thought he saw shapes along the walls. Dark smudges where the wallpaper bulged inward, like faces pressing from the other side. When the light faded, the walls were smooth again. Elias checked the camera screen. The photo showed the hallway exactly as it was now, except for one detail. At the far end, where there should have been nothing but shadow, stood a tall figure. Featureless. Pale. Its head tilted slightly as if curious. Elias dropped the camera. It hit the floor with a sharp crack that seemed to ring forever. When he looked back at the hallway, the figure was gone. He didn't pick the camera up. Instead, he walked, quickly but not running, toward the nearest door and pushed it open. The room beyond was a child's bedroom. Dust-coated toys sat neatly on shelves. A small bed rested against the wall, its blanket perfectly smoothed, untouched by time. On the far wall hung dozens of drawings, all done in crayon. Every drawing showed the same thing: a house by a marsh, a dark sky, and stick figure people standing outside. In every picture, one figure was missing its face. Behind him, the door closed. Elias spun around and grabbed the handle. It didn't move. He swallowed, his throat dry. "Hello?" Something answered. Not a voice, more like the sound of someone trying to remember how to speak. A soft, dragging whisper that came from everywhere at once. "Still time." Elias backed away until his legs hit the bed. His foot brushed something hard beneath it. A trap door. He hadn't seen it before. Slowly he knelt and pulled it open. Darkness yawned beneath, breathing out air that smelled of damp earth and old water. A ladder descended into the black. He didn't want to go down. The whisper came again, closer now. "Before it's gone." Against every instinct he had, Elias climbed down. The ladder seemed far longer than it should have been. His hands trembled as they slid over cold rungs, slick with moisture. When his feet finally touched solid ground, he realized he was standing in a long, underground corridor. The walls were stone, the floor was wet, and lining both sides were doors. Each door had a name carved into it. Elias walked slowly, reading them as he passed. Families, dates, some recent, some old. Then he saw one that made his chest tighten. Elias Morrow. His breath hitched. "No," he whispered. The door was already open. Inside was a small room containing nothing but a chair, a table, and a clock mounted on the wall. It read 2:16 a.m. The second hand ticked forward. Elias stumbled back. Behind him, every other door in the corridor creaked open at once. He didn't look. He ran. The corridor twisted, stretched, warped. The sound of footsteps followed him, many of them uneven, dragging, eager. The air grew colder, heavier, pressing in on him until it felt hard to breathe. A faint glow appeared ahead. Light. Elias burst through a doorway and found himself back in the main hall of Briarwood House. Moonlight streamed through the tall windows. The front door stood open. Freedom. He sprinted toward it, heart pounding, lungs burning, the sound of pursuit right behind him. Just before he reached the threshold, the clocks began to tick. All at once. The sound was deafening. Elias froze as the whisper spoke directly behind his ear.